Hey, this is Gene from the Assisted Living Network. We're going to talk about memory care versus assisted living. You know, a lot of times people who are not in this industry, they're a little confused in regards to the difference between the two. So let me explain to you what that difference is. First of all, whether it's assisted living or memory care, we are typically dealing with older people, the elderly. Now again, when we say elderly or older, everything is relative. I have to say late 50s now, but as I get older, I feel younger than ever. But the reality is we're all getting older, we're all aging. So the average person who might be living in assisted living might be in their 80s, 82, 85, something like that. They're there because they need help with their activities of daily living. And that help a lot of times is on the physical side. They're not able to get dressed or bathe or eat or take their medication on their own, or they just simply need some help, or they want the camaraderie of other peers their own age. But again, it's a physical thing. They're there for a reason. They didn't come there for a vacation. And it didn't come there because they have memory care issues. That's different. We're going to go there next. But assisted living is something that people go to and use if they need it from a physical standpoint. A lot of times people go into it and it's it's based on an incident. There's something that happened. Maybe they fell. They went to the doctor. And when they went to the doctor, they took an x-ray and said, there's no breaks in your hip, but somebody needs to watch mom. They need to watch dad. And then that caseworker at the hospital or the doctor's office is going to talk to the family and say, you know, mom, she's been living on her own, doing just fine up until this time, but she fell and she's probably going to fall again. She needs somebody to watch her more closely. And then they start to go through what the options are. And one of the options is the kids provide the care. Now, most of us are not geared towards being a caregiver to our parents. It's just not something we're comfortable with or we were gifted with. Some of us are. Now, if that's you, that's fantastic. But if it's not you, don't feel guilty. It's okay. There are people that we can hire that come into the home one-on-one to take care of mom. But if we want to do it more economically, we can bring mom or dad into a home, residential assisted living, or a big box facility for that matter, to be taken care of 24/7, with the added benefit of having a group of peers around them. They're a family in this home or home-like setting. But memory care is more of the mind. It's more, yes, they're typically older, but instead of being 82, 85, they might be 72 or 75. So they might be younger and they've been diagnosed typically with some memory issues, some dementia, and there's 80 different types of dementia. People don't realize that. Long time ago, if somebody lived to be older and they had an issue in their mind, people just thought they were crazy. They put them into converted mental institutions that we used to call nursing homes, and that's where that all began. But now that we understand this better, there's dementia, there's memory care, and dementia, there's 80 different forms of that. Now, tell me you haven't forgotten your glasses sitting on top of your head at some point, or looking for your car keys when they're in your hand as you're talking. That's some form of dementia, if you will, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about something where somebody truly needs help. At the end of the day, they start to forget even where they are or why they went there. Now, we've all had little memory lapses, but I'm talking true diagnosed memory care and dementia issues. Now, if somebody needs that kind of help to protect themselves, maybe at the end of the day, they get in their car and they start to drive and forget where they live or where they're going or why they came to wherever it is they are, they need help just to protect themselves. One of the differences within regards to memory care and dementia is the home that they live in or the facility they live in is what's called a lockdown facility. Now, lockdown means not bars in the windows and guards at the door. It's just simply they can't just walk out the front door. They can't just turn a knob and go out. There's probably some type of a combination code on a magnetic lock on that front door if it's a residential setting. So they may have a card that they have to swipe, but some kind of system that only somebody who is all there and not struggling with dementia or memory care will remember that combination or have that card or the ability to get in and get out. So a lockdown facility. So when we talk about residential assisted living, the one thing that would be different is that lock on the front door that's a magnetic lock with that combination. It's also going to be tied to the sprinkler or the fire suppression, the smoke detectors, the emergency equipment that would be there. So if the emergency equipment goes off, Those locks, the memory care lock, that door itself on that magnetic lock would release so somebody could go out and get to safety. So that is the one physical difference in regards to the house, and the caregivers are going to be trained a little bit differently. Now, frankly, most states don't require a lot of training at all, and let alone a lot of training for memory care or dementia. We do additional training for our caregivers to make sure that they're properly trained regardless of what the state requires. So when we say some additional training, the state might require literally 4 hours or 8 hours of additional training on top of being a caregiver. That care, that training is going to be based on how somebody with memory care issues or dementia thinks, how they cognitively behave, and what causes them to be uncomfortable or something to that effect, and what gives them comfort. So that training itself is more on how to work with them on that one-on-one basis and in that group home. The other difference between assisted living and memory care units tend to be smaller. Instead of 10 or 12 or 15 people in a single family home like we do with residential assisted living, it's probably going to be 8 people or less. So 8 people or less in that home is a good number for memory care and dementia. So we talked about a couple of things. The house itself is slightly different, that lockdown facility with that magnetic lock with the combination. 2, the caregivers have a little different level of training where their focus is on behavior as much as it is on their personal physical health needs. And then the third part is that in those homes themselves, people tend to move in sooner, younger. They may be there longer. So when you think about that from a business standpoint, if I have somebody who's with me, they move in earlier and they're there longer, and there's a third key, they also tend to pay more because it takes a little more qualification for that home. The number of people in the home is smaller. So because of all of those reasons, we can tend to charge more for the memory care or the dementia. So depending on where you live, if you're getting into this business of residential assisted living, that may be the best opportunity for you to have less people in the home but charging a higher rate. They move in younger and they're there for longer. The difference between assisted living and memory care, I just wrapped it up for you and kind of laid it out, but if you'd like to learn more, just let us know. This is Gene from the Assisted Living Network saying do good and do well. If you like what you've seen and heard, please subscribe.